دایی یه فرصت خوب حالا پشت مدافعان خداداد عزیزی توی دروازه گل گل برای ایران خداداد عزیزی باز هم روی زمین گشت سردار آزمون و توی دروازه سردار آزمون گل به نام آزمون و برای ایران بزنه کریم انصاری گل توی دروازه کریم انصاری دروازه پرتغال باز شد علی دایی سام توپ توی دروازه گل اشتباه حرکت از کوچان نژاد فرصت برای کوچان نژاد توی دروازه گل برای ایران.
Hi everyone, welcome back to another edition of Golbezan. It's been a little bit. If you follow us on social media, especially on our Twitter page, on Instagram, we have not gone anywhere. We've been active, but we just haven't put out some big performances, much like the Team Melli's senior team. As you probably already know, we've been following them in the CAFA Nations Cup. Yeah, let's just say it's a lot to talk about. Maybe not for the best, but we won't take too much of your time about this in this episode, but we're going to get to things that need to be talked about, including transfers and so on. I'm Samson for this episode, hosting this episode, and I have with me Arya coming to us from a long way away. Arya, what's up?
Yeah, glad to be on the episode. It's been a while. Can't say I'm particularly excited to be talking about, well, what we're going to be talking about, but yeah, it's always great to be on the podcast. Thank you so much, bro.
Yeah, it's necessary. It is necessary to talk about whether it's things are going well or not. I mean, look, a lot of us are not bandwagoners in our free time. We follow our teams that are close to our hearts, and that includes the good times and the bad. You have to cover. You have to talk about necessary things. You have to confront it head on. Almost like a therapy. It seems like sometimes. Um, but anyway, that here's what we're going to be discussing. The players that are called up for this international break for Team Melli, reviewing these first three CAFA Nations Cup matches, previewing the what we might see from Iran in the final. Not a huge deal because, frankly, whether it's Uzbekistan or Oman at this recording time, we don't really know yet, but it doesn't really matter at this point. Reviewing offensive production, reviewing the defensive production, reviewing the tactical decisions, and it's how certain important players have been in this international break. Updating and grading how Team Elite players were in the transfer window. The under 23 performances so far. They're having the qualifiers for the Asian Cup, which would then be the qualifiers for the next Olympics. It'd be pretty awesome to see a Team Elite U23 squad in Los Angeles 2028. I think I know a few tens of thousands of people who would be okay seeing that in Los Angeles. But also the women's team qualifying for the Women's Asian Cup next year. Great to see. Um, and overall, just what should we expect going forward? So, without further ado, Arya, let's get this underway. Reviewing the squad selection of who we had coming in to the CAFA Cup, a cup in which we had conversations, especially on our Twitter space, of what kind of squad should Iran bring up and what kind of approach should Amir Ghalanui have. Well, he had a little bit of a mix of guys who don't usually get starting minutes and then A-teamers, essentially. So we had Niazman start each game so far in goal. You'd think it might have been Hossein Hosseini. He was injured. Wasn't going to happen either. Not going to happen because of that. Nourizadeh, the other goalie, now in terms of defenders, defensive mids, Nuraf Khan, Naderi, Hazbavi, Agassi, Kenani, Nemati, Yousefi, Ramin Rezayan, Teek Dari. Then in the mids, we had mids and attacking mids, rather, both Mohibis, no relation. Hashem Najad, Kushki, Guldus, Cheshmi, Khulabandolu, Gurbani, Jahanbakhsh, Hossein Mehran Mahdi, and then the strikers, Ali Pour, our favorite, he shows up in our nightmares, Mogan Lu, Ali Yari, and then Taremi. Uh, all right, we've had a few conversations beforehand, but now that we are at least three matches deep into this international tournament, uh, how how do we make sense of this squad that was called up? It's a same old, no huge risks, no going outside the box, getting any dual nationals or players that haven't maybe been there for a while. Nothing crazy like a Zahidi from who's been playing in Japan the last couple of years. Nothing, but he brings in inexperienced players in general.
I'm gonna be honest, I think straight up it's a very mid squad. That's the best way of putting it. I mean, yeah, you've got that mix of you don't want to risk a lot of your players. I mean, to be fair, a lot of them were out because of injury anyways. I mean, Azmoun, Izzatullahi, Nourizadeh, Qaidi, Muhammad Karimi, Majid Hosseini, all these guys are actually injured. So I don't know if they would have been called up. I'm pretty sure they would have been called up. I mean, knowing Amir Al I think prior to this tournament, everyone was expecting Al to, it's funny, um, to call up more youngsters, but because of the under 23 Asian Cup qualifiers, which we're going to talk about in a bit, that is a little bit difficult. You know, players like Sahar Khizan or Hussein Ajad, Razarinia, all these guys were not going to get called up because they're going to play in the under 23 Asian Cup qualifiers. I mean, nevertheless, I think even if they ended up getting called up, I don't think they would have even played, to be honest with you. But this is the situation we're at. I mean, I'm in one way, I'll have something positive to say. I'm glad he's called up some new, fresh faces. I mean, for me, the most exciting name on that list is definitely Kushki from Estelal. I think he had a very decent run for Estelal. Was very excited to see him. Unfortunately, didn't play much. Hashem Nejad as well, who's been recently called up. I think it was nice to have him as well. But I mean, there's some players, with all due respect, that don't need to be called up anymore, that were called up. I don't want to name any names, but you guys can figure it out by yourselves. I think it's very obvious. I'm gonna say one name, Mohandu. What is this guy still doing in the team? I mean, you've got a million strikers in Iran that you can experiment with, and you call up Mohandu. I mean,
Well, that's the thing though.
I like what
He
he did.
because he's
Yeah,
worked. He's to try to quote him, he's worked him in. He's had players that he's had to take the time to work into the squad. We are now a little over, I think, 9 months from a kickoff in the World Cup. And at what point do we say what players need to keep experimenting with, or what players need to be worth it, and instead change to the question, why are we still working in players that are not working out? How much time do we need to work in certain players, certain, shall we say, A-teamers or substitutes that just have not worked out? Morgan Lu, we talk so much mess about him, and I'm sorry to take away time from you talking, Arya. I really don't like to to take over any conversation about this stuff, but it hasn't worked. It just hasn't. He can't hardly get touches. And so as you think, oh, maybe if he gets more touches, does better. When he does get touches, what production is there? What are the stats of completed passes? What are the stats of headers won? What are the stats of duels won, of dribbles won, of crosses completed, crosses received, balls controlled from crosses? Nothing's in his favor. Taremi gave him a Kubide platter and a couple of games. Was it the last qualifier? And he bottled it. At what
the
point?
the the open net one was, I think it was Mehdi Mohi, not Mehdi, yeah, Mehdi Mohibiyo, I think, who gave him that pass.
Okay.
Regardless, you're talking about the missed open goal, right?
Yes. I,
Yeah, I
at
mean,
what point do we
crazy.
finally admit in an Iran shirt, it's just not happening?
Yeah.
How many caps has he been able to attain now with zero added caps to any of the other strikers that we wanted to see get a few minutes at the end, or maybe start an easier game? I say easier, but none of them have turned out to be easy. At what point do we finally stop kidding ourselves? That's what is so confusing. We talk all this mess, but let's just look at the X's and O's. Let's look at the numbers. They're not in Galnoui's favor in defending these guys in their minutes. It just does not add up. And that's what's so upsetting. And it makes us start to really lose our composure when we're talking about this because we want to break down the numbers, we want to break down the performances, but there's just not any to talk about with some of these players. And I hate to make Moranlu the poster child of this because he hasn't really, as far as I've seen, attracted any negativity off the scenes. He's not like Baron Von running his mouth off off the field, not being able to back it up on the field. There's just nothing to add on with some of these players. There's
I mean,
nothing there.
I feel really bad about him, man. Genuinely, I feel bad that he's the scapegoat, but you're absolutely right. He doesn't deserve to be called up anymore. I mean, how many chances has this guy been given? I mean, if I remember well, by the way, has he had a shot on target in this tournament? Has he? Do we know?
In this
Because
tournament, I don't know. Maybe a
I
loose header that dribbled to the rolled to the goalie. I don't know.
whatever it is, I think before that big open goal miss, I think he hadn't had a shot on target like since the day he scored on a friendly, which was like against Angola or something, which at this point seems like it was ages ago. So it's like you've got so many players you can experiment from, so many. And he did well in calling up someone like what's his face? Majid Ali, who actually did well in the first few games. I mean, you've got to do better than that. If you want to go with the dual nationals, I mean, there's Kaveh Islam waiting. I know he hasn't been tested. You can try him out maybe. Games against India and Tajikistan and stuff would be a nice way of testing him out. But if you don't want to test a dual national and not go, through all that mess, call
But
up someone that.
there's not mess. There's not Zahir al-Islam. We talked with him. He has full Farsi fluency. I believe he has all his documents in order. He went to
Mhm.
Iran when he was a kid. I think maybe you just have to get it renewed, maybe his documents. But that's not a huge deal. Ask any other country. It's not a huge deal. And by the way, Zahir al-Islam, he moved to what was it? Is it
Krakovia in Poland.
Yes, and Poland. Not a huge deal to get him over. I mean, he's in the same country so far as Golbezan. Like we're not moving mountains here. It's not a huge deal. And you talk about comparable physicality. He's about similar size, maybe taller than Moganlu. He's faster than Moganlu. I can guarantee you that. What are we risking here? What are we risking? 9 months to the World Cup. You think, oh, it's too close. Well, no, because you're not getting performances. Losing a two-goal lead to Tajikistan, you're not risking anything by bringing these guys in. That's what
Yeah.
is so mind-boggling to me.
But to be fair, even so, we've called up how many strikers? I think all the forwards that were called, or I think it was like Ali Yari, we have Taremi, we have Mohanlu, Alipur, and someone else. Or am I missing someone else? We've called up a lot of strikers. We don't need that many strikers, to be honest with you. But I don't know. If you don't want to go through a dual national, at least call up someone that has been somewhat exciting. I mean, you've tried Mohanlu a million times and it has failed. As you said, you got to let it go. Um, but for me,
It's
that's the
so
main point. I know we always come back on Mohanlu, but there's a reason why we do that.
well, yeah, he's a
Um,
poster boy for this, but he's by no means not the end all with this conversation. I think it cannot be uh, expressed strongly enough the concern of athleticism and speed that Iran is missing going into the World Cup. Whether we get pot two or pot three doesn't matter because we play against pot four teams. They'll have more speed. We play against Kyrgyzstan, teams like Qatar, teams like teams like Afghanistan. They have guys burning us down the wings, burning our
yeah.
left back, right back, dribbling around a guy like Hasbavi. There's no answer here. And what if we don't have some of our first choice guys healthy for the World Cup? At least have guys who
Mhm.
are fit, who can fill out a speed test or an agility test. We don't have that. That is so concerning. We were severely missing that as one of the oldest teams in the 2022 World Cup, and it showed against a pot one team like England, against a team like the United States, we were vastly uh, uh, under undermatched or overmatched rather when it came to the speed and athleticism side of it. And we were just shook when it came to those goals that we conceded. And that was with some preparation. There is, I mean, just it seems like no preparation going to these teams because I mean, they're under the radar because they're such fringe teams like Tajikistan, Kyrgyzstan, Afghanistan, India, but it's very concerning. The speed
Mhm.
factor that will ultimately kill us because when make one bad touch at the midfield, can't control a pass, lose the ball, boom, counterattack. We can't get guys to get back. They play a through ball to our striker. They easily burn Kenani or Shoja or uh, Hasbavi, and there you go. There's the difference. It's game over before you know it.
Can
That's what's so
can you
concerning.
can you imagine? I mean, I've raised this point before, but can you imagine us playing like a Spain or something with like Lamine Yamal on the wing? It's over. Genuinely, it's over. I don't even want to think about it. But
And we've come
speaking
so
of,
far as a footballing nation in the World Cup at the world
yeah,
stage. You know, playing
yeah,
Spain to the brink, playing Portugal to the brink. You know, having being in position to 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 have the pressure on the United States in the 2022 World Cup. Bottled it. There's some external factors, but being in position for all these, and we're
mhm,
talking about not even not even beating North Korea convincingly, not even beating Tajikistan.
yeah.
That's really concerning.
But for the squad, I think another big controversial point was Ramin Rezayan coming back to the defense. I know there's a big like division. People were not happy with it. Some people were. I don't know. I think for a tournament like the CAFA Nations Cup, it's not bad to have him, but you can definitely see I mean, especially in the Tajikistan game, I've seen the highlights. He's almost past it. I mean, I know I love Ramin. I mean, he's done so much for us, but I think he's kind of past it now. Um, and obviously, Shoja Khalilzadeh got dropped, too, which is interesting because,
He was
we
suspended, no?
always
Was
so
he
I don't know. Either it wasn't Baron Van the suspended guy. I don't know. Whatever.
Baravan
Dropped or
was.
not, whatever.
Doesn't
Whatever it
matter.
is, but it's I think an interesting point is we always kept blaming Khalilzadeh for goals conceded, but at this point I don't think it's a Khalilzadeh problem. It's a Khalil Noir problem. No matter who you have in defense, you're leaking in goals, and that's very concerning. That's what this CAF Nations Cup has shown us is it doesn't matter who's in the defense, we're going to be conceding goals. It's not good. That's one point. I think there's been a few players that were dropped from the squad, that were actually cut off. So I think Abu Faz Jalali was dropped. I think Ismaili Fa was dropped. Alaya Said Manesh, which I guess you have some things to say for that.
He
Mehdi
hasn't been
Torabi
called.
and Mohamed Omri as well. These guys were in the preliminary squad, but they got cut off from the final list. So yeah, someone like Said Manesh not even being called up is genuinely crazy, but
All
I
right.
don't
I
have
mean,
the energy to talk about that.
well, the other Arya in golbezan, Arya Alavedi, he's told us, you know, he's there's not much hope, I guess, on his side for Gallinoi, uh, bringing him up. So he's not really, I guess, going out of his way to try to appease him, which is totally understandable at this point.
Yeah.
But again, talking about the results so far, uh, it was 3-1 win against Afghanistan. It was 3-0 of all second half goals against India, the last two being in the final, I believe, 20 minutes, with contributions from Javanbakhsh, Taremi scoring the last one, and then Ali Pour the second one off the when it came off the post, when Taremi kind of whiffed at it, which is another conversation on its own. And then, of course, going up 2-0 against Tajikistan in front of their raucous crowd of 15,000 people. um, Losing the lead to them, finishing first 7 points and advancing to the final, which is Monday, as of this recording. And Monday, I believe that would be at what would that be 11:30? I think New York City time, and 4:30 in the afternoon UK time as well. Um, okay, moving on with breaking down what we have seen so far from the defensive production, the offensive production. Been really disappointing to see how the A-teamers don't seem to gel with any of the guys that come in, it seems, at least on the offensive side. Taremi, the most jet-lagged player in the world, has been forced in and forced to contribute in these matches. And he has not looked himself. Had a pretty much an easy finish from a good pass of Javanbakhsh against India. Um, but overall, I haven't seen Taremi really shine as his original self in the last maybe year with the national team. Some of that probably credit to the struggles with Inter Milan. What have you seen, Arya, from?
What I've seen from Tanemi is I think he's tried his best with Inter. I think every game that I've watched him, I think he seems to have given his best. For the national team, it's been another debate. I mean, he's known as the main guy now. He is the guy that's going to be the star for Iran, so he does have that responsibility on his back. I mean, I wouldn't say he's been poor because that's not fair to him. I think he's still. I mean, the goals that he scored for us at the qualifying rounds were not the best goals. I remember that I think it was against Kyrgyzstan where he scored like that one tap in. So it wasn't he hasn't scored any beautiful goals or you're definitely right in saying he hasn't looked
But
that he
he had
doesn't
one
look like
good
he's
had one
himself,
good
but
side
he's
volley. There's one really good
exactly.
side volley against
Yeah,
Uzbekistan, a
yeah.
game that Iran did not win, by the way.
Yeah. No, yeah, that goal. Yeah, that was it. But I think it's unfair to say he hasn't been great for us. But I just contradicted myself. I said he was good at Inter and wasn't good with Iran. Sorry, that's not what I meant to say. I think he's been all right. Although these last few games he hasn't looked himself, which is also understandable because he's been jet lagged and he's had so much to do. So I wouldn't really judge him too much based off of these few games. I think we'll wait until the actual friendlies. Um, like I've seen so many people being like, "Oh, he looks a lot worse" or this or that, but I mean, bro, the guy went from what is it, Tajikistan to Greece, back to Tajikistan, was forced in against India for no reason, and you didn't need to put him there at all. So yeah, I think he's still got it, but we'll ultimately see if he's past it in the next few games to come.
I
So
get
that yeah.
no, I just get this feeling that Galway brings some of these A-teamers in to kind of stat pad to kind of pad up the score to make it look like more dominant than what it actually is. And it came back to bite
Oh,
them
yeah.
against Tajikistan.
Yeah, I mean you saw that against India. I mean, as soon as he brought in Javanbakhsh and Taremi, the whole game changed. Ultimately that's why the game ended 3-0 in the first place, was because those three guys came in. Um yeah,
But again,
it's
we're having these conversations about Afghanistan, India, Tajikistan. These are not real preparatory matches for World Cup. I mean,
with
my
all due respect.
gosh. They're in their own league, those teams. They're not in the pre-World Cup conversation
Yeah,
for
yeah.
for a team that is in the World Cup. Even Uzbekistan fans should not be happy with this. I mean, they'd be happy to get some silverware, still getting a trophy over Iran, assuming that they make the final. I don't know what's going to go on with that, but the fact that even they have not been performing that great, I mean, it just goes to show one that the talent is not that great, that the World Cup qualifying was not hard at all, but also they're not taking it that seriously. They got other friendlies to worry about in preparing for the World Cup. But
They got a just recently, I think it's been confirmed they're getting a friendly with Uruguay, Uzbekistan. So that's a really good friendly for them.
fantastic.
But I mean, listen, I'm not against the CAFA Nations Cup at all. I think it's a good thing. I think that's pretty much necessary. I mean, the rest of Asia has that. I think the timing of it is freaking terrible, to be fair. I don't know why it's being played now of all times. And I mean, coaches have to do better with the teams that they select. I mean, yeah, we don't need to see Mehdi Taremi play at this tournament. Let the guy freaking go to Olympiacos and do what he needs to do. Um, bring in all domestic teams, which at this point it pretty much is a whole domestic team. To be fair, most of these players play in Iran. Um, but if we come back to the whole offensive production, like I've said, I was very impressed with Aliyari, Zadeh as well, which I think has scored in the last 4 games that he's played. So that's cool. Or no, actually that ended against Tajikistan. Never mind. Um, but yeah, he's been on form for us. So there's a few interesting points there and there. Hashem Najad as well seems to be playing pretty well. It's not an amazing thing to be proud about because it's not something that's going to save us for the World Cup. It's just very minor things to look out for. Our defensive production, however, I mean, our defense has been a big problem since the World Cup. I don't think it's going to get fixed anytime soon. I'll let you go through it, Samson, but there's a lot to say about the defense.
Well, look, you're not going to have an overarching conversation just from looking at a CAFA Cup. All right, you're not going to
Mhm.
have you're not going to be able to complete a whole thesis just from looking at the CAFA Cup. So, I looked at what we've seen in the Galinoy era, leading up to the Galinoy era, and then under his leadership. Uh, let's say final round, say, of the 2022 World Cup qualifying. So a comparable field because he hasn't faced world talent in the World Cup. So I'm not even going to bring up really the World Cup. Final round of the 2022 World Cup qualification. Versus we face Lebanon, South Korea, UAE, Iraq, Syria. We only, under the leadership of Dragan Skocic, only allowed goals against South Korea and Lebanon. The round before that, lost to Bahrain and Iraq. We remember that under Wilmots, and conceded to Hong Kong. Now, in the Galinoy era, stay with me, guys. A draw against Russia, 1-1 in Azadi Stadium. Conceded to Afghanistan. We've conceded to Afghanistan in both games we've played them. Struggled to beat Kyrgyzstan twice. Conceded to Jordan. A tie 2-2 at Uzbekistan. Defeated Hong Kong 1-0 at the Asian Cup. Beat Syria in penalty kicks in the Asian Cup after losing the lead and losing Taremi to a red card. Beat Japan in the quarterfinal. A high point for sure. We caught Japan on a bad day and things went well that day. A high point. Give all the credit where credit is due. A red card and lost to Qatar in the semifinal. All right, moving on. Conceding twice to Hong Kong. Failing to beat Uzbekistan at home. A red card from Shoja Khalilzadeh. And lucky to beat North Korea on neutral turf. I believe that was in Indonesia, maybe they played that.
Laos was it? I think maybe
Laos,
Laos. I'm not
maybe.
sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Southeast Asia. Neutral ground. No one in attendance, I think. A red card and a loss at Qatar while closing out World Cup qualifiers. A North Korea red card allowing Iran to beat them 3-0. Struggling to break India in the CAFA Nations Cup until the second half and you bring on A-teamers. Draw to Tajikistan despite bringing in A-teamers and Taremi not on his game after being ahead 2-0. So I ask again, at what point do we stop arguing the question of, do we think this team might regress to the point of no return and humiliate the Iranian people next summer, and instead turn to the question, how much is Iran regressing? And will we be able to keep our dignity in the World Cup? I think we're past those first questions, Arya. I think the Iranian people deserve better leadership in their national team. At the ending stages of this golden generation, with plenty of talent coming in from the younger generation, we have seen the regression of tactics, of goal production, of defensive strength, of discipline, red cards, mostly coming from leadership, by the way, of the oldest players. At what point do we stop kidding ourselves and admit in unison this is not working? It's not going to work. We don't like having these uncomfortable conversations, but we
It
need
makes me
to
sad.
be
Genuinely,
honest with
it makes me upset that you're saying all this because you're absolutely right. I mean, it's really really tough to sit here and just look at just how much we've regressed. Um, and also you were talking about the number of goals that we've conceded. I want to give you a stat here that I gave on the Asian Football Show. Shout out the Asian Football Show. Um, Shoja Khalizadeh is responsible for 52% of Iran's conceded goals since Khalenoui came in. 52%. What does that tell you? Um, and goals conceded aside, discipline has been a huge issue. I mean, bro, I have friends in real life who tell me another red card? You guys just got a red card. What do you mean another red card? Like, what? What is Khalenoui telling these players, bro? Like, go kill the guy in the second half?
Well, it's not
Like,
just
oh,
that. It's that they're beat to the
you're
ball. They're
doing it.
beat to the ball. They're the last defender because they're too slow and they're not in
Yeah,
the right position. This not it's not just, oh, they're silly players make immature mistakes from older guys, by
yeah,
the way. It's they're in the wrong position. They're
yeah.
completely caught in a just unprofessional position, and they're too slow to come back. And that's what's so upsetting.
And I mean, you can have these sort of mistakes against these lower ranked nations, but listen, once you're gonna face the Argentinas, your Spain's, or even not even those teams, maybe a teams that are, bro, I'm thinking of a team like, I don't know, Switzerland, Senegal, these sort of teams.
Yeah,
You're gonna get a red
Norway.
card. It's over. It's over. Norway, it's over. You're cooked. You're over. It's done.
And by the
But
way,
I don't. Yeah,
this
keep
whole
going.
rent that we had against this kind of competition, how many of these teams are top 40?
That
Japan
we faced,
in the quarterfinal?
I think the only top 40 team we faced since or yeah, it was Japan. Is Uzbekistan in the top 40? I don't think
No,
so.
no, they're not.
Is Qatar in the top 40? I don't think
No,
so.
not even
Yeah,
top 70.
the only top 40 team we've played, yes, is would be Japan, if I'm not mistaken.
You got a
Yeah.
sample size of one game, and I think in these coming friendlies, we're gonna see what's really up. We have yet to confirm an African nation that was planned for the October uh, international break. The only game that is confirmed is against Russia, which not in the World Cup. I don't even think they're in the qualification still.
I mean, they're banned from
So,
the I mean,
so
I think they're 30, they're ranked 35th, so they will be an opponent
they
that
haven't hardly played,
requires,
mate.
yeah. So, yeah, that's that. Um, yeah, it's upsetting. I don't want to get all into this whole defensive offensive stuff because I mean, you've said everything. I don't need to add anything else.
Well, let's
It's just depressing.
yeah,
It's just it. It's depressing.
let's take that opportunity to kind of shift gears a little bit, talking into
Yeah.
what moves have been made over the summer break and the summer
Not a
transfer
lot.
window.
Not a
Not a
lot.
lot. We got some guys staying in the Persian Gulf Pro League. Um, in the Persian Gulf Countries League, in the UAE League, in Qatar. Um, and we had Taremi, of course, make that move from Inter Milan to Olympiacos, which is
Yep.
a Champions League team. What did you make of that, Arya?
So before I go to Taremi, let me go through some of these transfer first. I'm probably gonna miss a few, and I apologize in advance. I mean, there was a lot of rumors on a lot of different players that ended up not working or just being completely fake. I mean, I remember, I think the first one that comes to mind was Randy to to the Liga inside Le Havre, which ended up being fake. Oh my God, that sold dreams. Or just recently, the Hossein linked to Fulham, Wolves, and I think Sevilla, I think it was, and so many links that I mean, it's very reoccurring in Iranian football that
And,
ends up
and
not happening.
And by the way, that's why
Yeah,
Golbezan does not share or post anything until it is
exactly.
legitimate. I think the
Yeah.
one somewhat of a rumor thing that we actually posted was of Olympiacos, also shared by our friend who covers Serie A, Nima Rutsari, by the way, was of Olympiacos inquiring with Inter Milan. And guess what happened? He signed with Olympiacos.
And I know we have rumors of a lot of players coming back to Iran. I think Nourizadeh was um, linked to coming back to the PGPL. He ended up staying, thankfully, in Europe. Um, we've had a lot of players go to the UAE. Mobin Deran, Mersad Saifi, Mehdi Mohebi. I'm surely missing many. Oh, Reza Ghandipur. Uh, those guys have ended up being in the UAE league. For the
Is
fake
Jahan
guys. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Is Javanbakhsh confirmed with Vienna yet?
Yeah, see, I've seen that too. I thought it was confirmed. Erfan even tweeted about it. Vazish even tweeted about it. So I thought it would have been done. I mean, I don't know what's going on with it. Maybe it'll be fixed after the CAFA Nations Cup. But yeah, I have no idea. And then obviously Zahir Al-Islam going to Cracovia in Poland, which is a decent move. Um, I'm probably missing a few guys, and obviously the Taremi moved to Olympiacos, which I have my issues with it because I don't know why it took you so long. Like you had the whole summer. What were you doing this whole summer? Um, and I get he joined Olympiacos for UCL, but then you had other teams that were interested that were also in the UCL, like PSV, for instance. So unless those rumors weren't legit or offers were not being made. I mean, at the end of the day, me and you will never know Samson, right? We're not behind the scenes. We have no idea. But talking from a fan's perspective, it's a weird move. I mean, I understand it. I definitely understand the move. I know why he went there. He's going to get more playing time, UCL football, which is important ahead of a World Cup year. So I like it for that reason. But you still feel like he could do much better than that, with all due respect. I mean, he's also getting a lot older too, so that's a big factor. Um, do I hate the move? I don't hate it. I just don't think it's the best move, but if
What grade
he
would
feels
you give?
comfortable with it, like out of 10, like a 6.5 maybe.
I
I'm
think
not
that's fair.
completely against it. You know what I mean? I'm not completely against it. So as long as he gets the playing time and I mean the playing time is really what I'm looking forward to ahead of a World Cup year because that's what's the most important thing. If he was still at Inter rotting on the bench, he wouldn't be good for us at the World Cup. I mean, he wouldn't be fit, wouldn't really do much for us. So yeah, that's what I think about this transfer window. I mean, I wish there was more to talk about. Um, but just like our tactics have regressed, our transfers have also regressed over the years, unfortunately.
It's a good point. That's a very good
Oh,
point.
also,
They have
Kasra
regressed.
Tahiri, Kasra Tahiri went from Ruben
Mm.
Kazan back to the PGPL, which to be fair for him, he also wanted playing time, so I also do understand the move.
There's a lot of countries to do that in,
And
Arya. A lot of countries you
yeah,
could be getting playing time.
yeah. To be fair, has been off to a flying start for Paycon and as well as the under 23, which I think is good. I think it's best if we move on to that now, right? Unless there's anything you'd like to add
No, no.
for
I think
first.
I think we'll be getting into the Persian Gulf Pro League stuff with Irfan in the next podcast in the coming days. Uh, Whenever we have him on, he'll definitely be providing us that. But I mean, just whatever input you want uh from now is fine. But I think we're going to go deeper into that in the next episode. Um, I do want to bring up some other news. I guess good news. And we wonder where all these young players are at that are really good that deserve some playing time. We think of a star striker like Sahar Kizyan. Well, they've been in the U23 uh, Asian Cup qualifiers. Which you think, do you really need all the best players for something like that? You think they'd be able to qualify on their own, but and again, the last time they had the U23 Asian Cup qualifiers, Iran did not even qualify for that. So, in Group I for that right now, that's being held in United Arab Emirates. By the way, we able to get Irfan to be going to these games? He's getting back into the UAE. I think either
He
I think
should. Yeah, he
Saturday
should be
or
able to go. I don't see why he wouldn't be able to.
yeah. We gotta send our boys to get to work. Whenever these games are in their backyard. That's why I say
Also,
when the World Cup's in North America, I'm going no matter what. You know. Sorry, what?
so yeah, sorry to interrupt. I think a transfer that I completely missed about was actually Sahar going from
Yeah.
Orenburg back to um what is it called? Jeez. Istiklal. Which yeah, I think the less said about that the better.
I think that's a
Um
D in terms of grade.
yeah, it's terrible.
I
Yeah.
just when we have so many players in PGPL, why do we need to keep coming back to it? Unless they are influenced and told to do that for the national team's sake, which is of course very disagreeable. Anyway,
Yep.
back to what we were saying about the U23. Um, as of this recording, there's only been one game played, with Iran taking care of Hong Kong a few days ago, 4-0. All goals, by the way, in the second half from Jafari Razaginia. By the way, he's been playing well, and Tahiri had two goals to close it out. So that was 4-0. The next game for them is I believe Saturday. Yeah, again, as of this recording, the day after this, Saturday against Guam. They'll be playing at what is that? About 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock New York time, something like that. We'll probably share the stream with that. Playing against Guam, that should probably be a double-digit win. At least I would hope. Guam lost to UAE. Uh, was it 13-0 in the first game? Yeah. So
Mhm.
you'd think that they'd be able to take care of them. Um, Anything else on the U23 end that you've noticed or that you
Yeah,
want to see?
I have a few comments. I have a few comments. First of all, it has to be a double-digit win against Guam because no, I'm not saying that because like the teams are much better. It's because first of all, there's only one team qualifying from the group. Um, so UAE actually starting with Guam was in their first of all, it's being held in the UAE, number one. Number two, they have a 13 goal difference now, 13-0. I mean, unless Iran win against the UAE, and then that doesn't really matter. But I mean, you can never, at this point in time, where we are, where football can never be sure of winning a game with
There's,
any level
there's
of
no excuse.
Iranian
No
football.
excuse.
Um, but yeah, we have to score the most that we can against Guam. Um, crazy that it's crazy that these words are even coming out of my mouth, but that's where we're at. Yeah, that game against Hong Kong was weird because like we looked dull as hell, man, in that first half. But in the second half it was completely the opposite. We were fantastic. Beautiful goal by Razafini and Tahiri. This guy, like I just said, he's always in the right positions, it seems. So I really like Kasra Tahiri. I really, really do hope he flourishes. Goes back to Europe whenever he's ready, but he seems to be very good. Um, I think one last thing I wanted to add is I've seen a few people ask why Ismail Nourizadeh hasn't been called up. He hasn't been called up because of personal reasons. He announced it on his official Instagram a few days ago. But yeah, next game against Guam, and then we play. against the UAE, which will be an interesting one. Hopefully, we don't bottle it. Hopefully, because that would be embarrassing. Um, but yeah, any any last comments?
No, I just want to move on to last couple topics before we close
Sure.
this episode out. Um, this is not soccer football related, uh, but it has to be said because there is an Iranian team sport on the global stage that is making us proud. That was the men's under 21 volleyball team winning their respective world title, beating USA in the semifinal and then beating Italy in the final. That was awesome to see. To see guys be able to finish matches, to be able to close it out, to be able to handle that pressure and get it done. That was phenomenal. Um, Fair play to the volleyball federation in that respect, and just their leadership for getting that done. The volleyball is definitely, um, from what I've seen on the men. If there are any volleyball experts, by the way, based in U.S., Canada, or wherever, give us your thoughts on that as well. Hit the comments. Um, Last but certainly not least, in terms of what we need to cover today, uh, what we did not get to talk that much about this past summer was Zanan, the Persian Lionesses, the women's team qualifying for the Asian Cup. Had a bad hiccup against Lebanon, but then beat the hosts Jordan in their respective qualifier group to be able to qualify for the Women's Asian Cup to be played next March, I believe during Nowruz, by the way, and that'll be in Australia. By the way, it'll be during the fall season for Australia, but that's let's. I want to go through briefly what they had. They beat Singapore 4-0 in the first match. They beat Bhutan 7-1. Had a horrible game losing to Lebanon 3-1. But then because of head to head, if they beat Jordan, they qualify even though Jordan has superior goal difference. Well, they beat Jordan 2-1, got it done. They were actually 2-0 ahead, only had a late own goal to make it 2-1. Fatimeh Shaban, by the way, 5 goals for Iran, I think it said. So where does this bring the Iranian women's national team, if you may ask? Uh, they have a brutal group in the Women's Asian Cup
Yeah.
next March.
It's a
The,
very
the
brutal
the
group,
group of death. Uh,
essentially.
March 2nd, they open up. Oh, I'm sorry, it's early March, not during Nowruz. March 2nd against South Korea. Not a great national team, but they're definitely ranked ahead. March 5th against the hosts, Australia. All right. And by the way, these games, I actually have the email. The single game tickets are now available if you're in Australia, want to take a vacation, want to support Iranian women. There you go. Uh, the single game tickets, by the way, starting at just $20. I'm not sure if it was Australian dollars or what, just $20 for the South Korea game and the third game against the Philippines, starting at $40 against Australia. Um, and by the way, the final game against the Philippines. Let's put this in perspective, shall we? Philippines is a game which we'll see firsthand what it is like to play against a women's national team that was a joke until a few years ago. Certainly a joke in Asia before it decided to tap into its diaspora in the US and Canada, bringing in a pool of thousands of high school and college girls players who could play as a dual national. Literally, there are articles, videos about this, at least during the last World Cup, telling the story of how these businessmen, how the people contact the federation, picked apart any girl who is exceeding in youth levels, college, that might have Philippine ancestry. And that's what got them to be brought on as dual nationals and then qualify for the Women's World Cup in 2023. They qualified for the sole reason that they were made up of all but one North American, born or resident. Iran, meanwhile, makes the Asian Cup, 2 Asian Cups in a row, with no North American or European dual nationals, at least to my knowledge. So just imagine if there was a financed, concerted football effort from the Federation, from those in charge, to bring in a handful of Iranian American or Iranian Canadian, or even Iranian Swedish, Iranian British young women. Not 20 of them, not 10 of them, a handful. You could have easily started with just two players currently in arguably the best women's professional league in the world. Two friends of Golbezan, by the way, I interviewed back in March. Lily Navet of Los Angeles Angel FC and Zara Chavoshi of reigning champions Orlando Pride, both of whom told me they would not, by any means, rule out playing for Iran if they were invited. Just think about that for a second. Chavoshi, by the
I
way,
think I think Shavoshi is too late now because she
it's
got tapped with
no,
Canada, if I'm not mistaken.
no, and I'll explain. Um,
Okay.
Chavoshi, by the way, to what you brought up, Arya, scored her first goal for ninth ranked Canada in a friendly against Costa Rica in June. I believe the current rule is that, especially for a friendly, you are allowed to change your allegiance once. That is the current FIFA rule. I believe that is still in effect. And remember, Stephen Beitashour, now he didn't actually play, but he was called up for friendly for the U.S. under the older rules back in 2012 because he didn't play.
Interesting.
He was still eligible to play for Iran, and that's what he did right before the 2014 World Cup and was in the 2014 World Cup squad. And again, Chavoshi scored her first goal for Canada, ninth ranked Canada, in a friendly against Costa Rica in June. She was kind of a late call up, by the way. Uh, a month before that, Iran, meanwhile, tied and lost to 77th ranked Puerto Rico. And Puerto Rico, by the way, most of their players also based in the U.S. Again, be angry at me if you want for saying this amid Shirzanan's success in qualifying for Asia. But I tend to think Iranian women have a lot more potential than just being glad to qualify for Asia. I like wins. I I don't care their background so long as they have Iranian blood and are open to the idea and can help us win. I'd want that for any team for Iran, any sport for Iran. So I mean, imagine if, say, Azmoun was raised in Turkmenistan or raised in Russia, but was open to playing for Iran and was tearing up the Russian league or a bigger league before being called up to Iran. I mean, imagine not even reaching out to him, you know? Like, you can say, oh, they're women, it's different. I don't care. I like good players who help my teams win. I like good players who are brought up in world-class youth systems who can transform my team or the entire program of men's or women's for the better. That's what could happen with the women. Malika Mohammadi was well on her way to contributing to that dream for Iranian women. So I think we can make that happen. I don't think it's
On a
unrealistic
more,
to want better for us.
I agree. But still, I mean, to stay positive, I think just in general, I think Iranian women's football has improved a lot in the past few years. I think you're
Yeah,
trying to say it could be even better than what it is currently. Um, but yeah, coming back to the positives, I mean, they're doing it. I mean, a second Asian Cup qualified. That's just amazing. It's always nice to see that. So, very very nice to see. And we will all be supporting them in that very tough group, and hopefully, just hopefully, they can make some magic happen. I've heard some people that are in the women's soccer world saying it's not impossible, um, but it will be very difficult. So nothing is impossible. We'll see. Hopefully, we'll get something out of that.
like I
Um,
said, we're going to see that contrast in that game against the
yeah.
Philippines. Because again, Philippine women were a joke 10 years ago. All right,
Mhm.
they made the bare minimum of knowing what was there, and they qualify for a World Cup. Um, and it's really great to see the progress the Iranian women have made. A lot of it was spurred by, you guessed it, an Iranian American coach Khosrowyar for years when she was in the system of coaching. The first, by the way, first Middle Eastern woman to get a FIFA A coaching license. Shout out to her. She's a friend of the show, by the way. Okay, we'll wrap it up from there with last thoughts. If you're listening to this or watching us on YouTube, before Monday's final of the CAFA Nations Cup, what do you want to see in that, Arya?
In the game against on Monday, what I want to
Yes.
see. I want to see Hallelujah out, bro. That's what I want to see. No, but in all seriousness, just win it. Save yourself from embarrassment, please. And I genuinely don't know what I want to see at this point. Like I've tweeted about this morning. I don't know if you saw the tweet, which a lot of people have agreed with. I'll say it word by word. I think it's impressive how Hanoi has managed to like make us just either hate watching the national team or not enjoy watching the national team. Me personally, this is not an opinion that many of you might share. Me personally, I haven't looked forward to a single Iran game since the Asian Cup, personally speaking. Not looking forward for the game on Monday, so it's just depressing, really. And yeah, just wishing for good things. That's all I can really
No,
add.
no.
What about you?
Well, what I'm really looking forward to is the golbezan Twitter Spaces, Instagram posts, and episode that will ensue after the match, in which we'll guarantee to bring our top performances with a lot more members. By the way, it won't be just us. There'll be more folks in that episode, speaking it into existence. That it's going to be a great one. We hope you tune in. We hope you keep following us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram at golbezan. Share us with your friends. Next time you go out for some pulao and kebab, mention to the restaurant staff. Bring up, hey, who's your favorite all-time player for Team Elite? You know who talks, has good content talking about that stuff? This podcast called Golbezan. They're on YouTube. Subscribe to them. Even if you won't tune into every episode, give us a subscription. Give us another read on Patreon, on our free Patreon article of the 10 best players at each position going into the World Cup for Team Melli. Our own Irfan Husseini posted that. Very in-depth with good analysis with that. We've been getting good feedback about that online. Keep it coming. Check it out. It is free on our Patreon. If you want to be a Patreon supporter, welcome that as well. Definitely helps pay for us being able to cover games, get good audio, video, stuff like that. So really appreciate the support as always. And unless you have anything else to add, we'll close it out there. And thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Hi, I'm Zara Chivoshi. I play for Orlando Pride, and you're watching Golbezan.